Hi! Now before we dive right into wallpapering, I want to talk to you about prep work. Preparing your surfaces before you wallpaper is so important. This will make sure that you can enjoy your wallpaper for a long, long time. First, you'll get the best results wallpapering on a clean and smooth surface. So if you have any imperfect or rough areas on your walls, you'll want to take the time to fill those, sand them down so you have a clean and smooth surface to install your wallpaper on. Now, thankfully, I have a pretty smooth surface that I will be wallpapering, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you don't have a smooth surface and you have textured walls, that doesn't mean wallpapering isn't possible. All you'll have to do is install a wallpaper liner first, and that will get things nice and clean and smooth so you can wallpaper. Also, one important note, make sure that you're not hanging your wallpaper on freshly painted walls. You'll want to wait at least 30 days after painting to ensure that your wallpaper has proper adhesion, and that way you won't have to worry about any peeling. You'll want to turn off the power in your room and then remove all the faceplates and socket covers. Lay a drop cloth or paper down to protect your floors from primer and adhesive. Next, you're going to want to prime your walls. Now, a lot of people overlook primer, but it makes such a huge difference. This is going to help your wallpaper adhere to the wall, and it will prevent any shrinkage while the wallpaper is drying. In addition, it will make the removal process, if and when you decide to try something new, so much easier. Now remember, if you decide to use a regular primer, you want to make sure to give it 30 days to cure. If you're using a wallpaper primer like I am here though, it only requires 3 days to cure before you can start wallpapering. Now that you've taken all of the steps to lay the groundwork for success, you're going to plan your installation. When you're wallpapering an entire room, it's very unlikely you'll have a perfect pattern match when you finish. You can hide any potential mismatch by starting and ending your wallpaper in a hidden corner. Start behind a door, in the back corner, or in a spot that'll be covered by furniture or curtains. When you've picked your corner, like I have here, measure the width of your wallpaper, subtract 1/2 inch, and mark this spot on the wall with a pencil. Using your level, draw a straight vertical line along the wall. This will help you hang each new strip straight, even if your walls aren't perfectly straight. You'll need to repeat this process each time you reach a new corner or start a new wall. So we have our plumb line marked on the wall. We have our first strip of wallpaper cut, measuring the height of the ceiling plus 4 inches for trimming, and it's time to start hanging our wallpaper. I've got my paint trays filled with wallpaper paste and a few different rollers to fit tight spots, and I'm just going to saturate my roller and roll it across where the first strip will fall. Use as much as you think you need. Any extra you may have will help you shift the strip around and line up the seams as you're wallpapering. Hang the strip starting at the top with about half of your excess overlapping the ceiling or the molding, about 2 inches in our case. Slide the rest in line with your plumb line and then gently smooth out and work your way down. Once you have the top half in place, smooth out the entire strip from the center out to work out any air bubbles that may have gotten trapped as you've worked. Wash off any extra paste with a damp sponge and clean water. Paste can damage the front of your wallpaper if you don't clean it up immediately. Trim the excess along the ceiling and floor using your blade and straight edge as a guide. Try to do this in one smooth stroke to avoid tearing your paper. With the excess gone, give your ceiling and baseboards a quick wipe with your sponge. And that's your first strip of wallpaper. One down and a room full to go. As a side note, you may think to save yourself some time by cutting multiple strips at once, but what you'll end up doing is giving yourself a giant headache. Most wallpapers have a pattern match, or the point where the design meets up at the seams and continues from one strip of wallpaper to the next. When you hang the next strip, you'll need to make sure your pattern lines up. And if you cut your next strip before figuring out your match, you'll end up wasting a lot of paper. As you're hanging additional strips, remember, find your pattern match before you cut your next strip. Lay your edges tight, as close as you can without overlapping. Using what feels like an excess of paste will help you gently shift your new piece so it fits snug against the previous. For that extra assurance that your edges stay flat, run a seam roller along the length of each strip to set them. Now, working around your room's doorways and windows just takes a little bit of extra time and patience, but it's really fairly simple. Hang your wallpaper as normal, allowing the strip to overlap the door or window trim. Smooth it onto the wall. To get your paper to lie flat against your window or door frame, you'll need some added flexibility to the wallpaper. Grab some scissors or your blade and cut a 45-degree angle release at the corner of your window or door frame so you can smooth the paper flush against the trim. Trim away the excess with your blade and a straight edge as a guide. Here's a pro tip for you. You can use some of your excess paper for smaller spots, like in between the ceiling and your window frame, so make sure to save those. Let's talk a little bit more about corners, as they're the only space where you'll overlap wallpaper, and it can be a little bit confusing the first time around. Hang your last strip of wallpaper on the current wall so the piece overlaps into the corner on your new wall. Before pasting down the section that overlaps into the new wall, use your level to make sure that this edge is straight. Once you've ensured that your edge is straight, you can continue hanging new strips as normal. And that's it. I know that wallpapering can be a little bit intimidating at first, but with a little bit of practice and with help from these tips, you're going to be a pro in no time.